because TikTok is owned by a company called ByteDance, and this company's headquarters is in China. So basically, what they're being accused of is the same thing that Huawei was being accused of, is taking our personal information and transferring it to the Chinese government for their benefit, for whatever they want to use it for. I'm not sure what they want to use it for, maybe marketing things as well, but who knows. But now it's like not only are Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, X, formerly known as Twitter, taking information, but now we have a different country taking our information. And this isn't just one company, it's the Chinese government that's taking this information. And it could be dangerous because if you look at the terms and conditions, whenever you open up TikTok and you don't close out of it and it stays open in the background, it's monitoring everything you're doing. It's monitoring your keystrokes. It's looking at who you're texting. It's looking at who's in your contact. It's basically, when you have it opened, it's allowing TikTok to look at every single thing in your cell phone. And that's scary. It's scary for any company to do. But just like with other social media platforms, we allow it because we like the platform itself. Lots of times these companies are labeled as tech companies. Like Instagram is considered a tech company, Google, tech company, Meta, tech company. All these companies are considered tech companies. But if you really think about it, that's kind of like a shadow, a fog, because they're really not tech companies. They're not creating new tech and selling it. That's not what they're doing. So if you think about it, how can it be a tech company if it's not making new tech and selling it, right? It's more of a marketing company. It actually is a marketing company, because how do these platforms make money? They make money off your data. They make money because people pay them to advertise on those platforms. So technically, they're not really tech companies. They're more of big, giant marketing companies, because they're not creating any new tech. And if they do create new tech, they keep it for themselves. Keep it for themselves to then use on us to then better gather data, and which then it sells to other companies. So these tech companies, social media platforms, aren't tech companies. They are just giant marketing companies with crazy infrastructure, and that's what they really are. Tech companies sounds cool because, oh, it has to do with technology, but really it just has to do with marketing. So back to the whole TikTok debate. So like I was saying in the beginning, everyone was saying that, hey, government is trying to limit our speech. They're trying to take away free speech. They shouldn't be able to ban an app, a platform that we can use, that we should use. But that's where people are wrong. They're not banning TikTok itself. They're banning the fact that TikTok is a Chinese-run company. So they're okay with TikTok being here as long as it sells its American infrastructure, or the American wing, the United States wing of TikTok, to a United States-based company. So I read this bill. It's actually called bill number HR 7521, and it's called Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act. And when you read through it, for example, when you look at it, the act itself, it says to protect the to protect the national security of the United States from the threat posed by foreign adversary controlled applications, such as TikTok and any successor application or service, and any other application or service developed or provided by ByteDance Ltd. or an entity under the control of ByteDance Ltd. So this is a prohibition of foreign adversary controlled applications. It shall be unlawful for an entity to distribute, maintain, or update a foreign adversary controlled application by carrying out within the land or maritime borders of the United States any of the following. And it goes into like 3 subcategories. So basically, when you read into this law and you actually read the print, not what everyone's just saying, when you actually read what they're actually calling for, is they're not calling for the ban of TikTok, because if they were calling for the ban of an application and this would go through, this would mean that at this point the government could ban any kind of social media platform or app, because the way law works is that if it's allowed in one scenario, then it could be also allowed in another scenario if it fits that same framework. That's why if you look at law, or I'm sure you probably have seen like Law and Order, they always say, according to law, this, and this person was proven guilty on these means. So this is the same idea. So my client should also be proven guilty or not guilty. So they use that as a reference. So if the government can outright ban something like an app, then that means it could also ban another app in the future if it's a similar circumstance. But in this case, they're not asking to ban TikTok itself. They're asking to ban the Chinese ownership of a platform or an app that is being used in the United States, because they realize that, hey, this app is providing data on users, US citizens, to China. And that could be a threat to national security because, for example, politicians are on TikTok. People in the army are on TikTok. US personnel are on TikTok. So imagine if there's a conversation going on under closed doors talking about China, talking about other things that are very important to our national security. And imagine if TikTok is able to listen on that, because technically you had that platform open in your background. That's when it kind of becomes scary, because Facebook might be doing the same thing, Instagram might be doing the same thing, but guess what? Their benefit is similar to the benefit of the U.S. government. So they're on the same team in a sense, versus China is on a different team. I hate breaking up things into teams because it shouldn't be us versus them or them versus us, but every country has its own interests, right? That's why we have borders. And as humans, I hope you could figure out one day on how to peacefully negotiate with one another instead of trying to outdo one another. But just to make things clear, is this bill is not banning apps. It's banning foreign government-controlled apps from doing business strictly for their government. Because this bill gets passed, TikTok could still exist. It's going to exist. The only thing that's going to change is the US platform of TikTok is going to have to be owned by a US company, or it's not going to be able to be on the App Store or function in the US. So I know for some of you this sounded scary in the beginning, and I hope I shed some clarity on it, because I was confused myself. And then I was looking at it and I'm like, hey, this isn't just outright banning the app. It's banning foreign governments from owning apps and platforms that might not be part of the same value base, or might not be on the same team as the United States, that it can cause harm in a sense. So that basically sums it up, is the battle isn't about should TikTok be an app store or should be able to use TikTok. It's about foreign powers owning platforms that then generate data of US citizens. And this is not just a US issue. This is a global issue. It's a worldwide issue. Same way other countries shouldn't have China also interfering with their citizens' data in a sense. So I found that really interesting. It definitely caught my attention. I definitely saw a lot of people saying that, hey, call your senators, call this person, call your congressman, because they're trying to ban an app. They're not trying to ban an app. They're trying to ban foreign control over an app. In this case, I feel like they're in the right. I feel this is a good thing to do, because I understand that everything we post on social media is being, in a sense, used against us. It's being used for marketing, but at least that marketing stuff is staying inside the United States and it is being privately owned versus being then dispersed to other governments, in this case, China. As technology moves forward, there's always that conflict of how much privacy am I willing to lose or to give up for convenience. It's always there. It's always going to be there, because I want to say because, but what I've noticed over time is things are most efficient when they are less private in a way, because there's less hoops to go through. There's less things you have to abide by when it's just like an open kind of platform, because you don't have to employ as much sensors. You don't have to employ as much tech to kind of look through what's allowed, what's not allowed. Is this being private? Is this being secure? There's less steps. There's less steps between you and your post, in a sense, if you're sacrificing privacy. Because if you want to be more private, well, guess what? You have to figure out a way to somehow change this post into now a unanimous post. You know what I'm saying? It gets really complicated. And yeah, I feel like it's just been a constant battle these last couple of years of how much of our privacy are we willing to give for convenience, for efficiency, for just being able to use a platform. Because the terms and services for all these social media platforms, they have changed over time, and they change every year, sometimes every month, because there's new ways of these platforms picking up data. And the more data they have, the more money comes in through marketing, because you're essentially a target for their business. Their business is your data. Your business is your data as well, but you can't necessarily personally sell your data, right? There's no way of us personally selling our data. So companies are basically doing it for us in our own expense, but also for convenience and for the ability to use their platform. So I hope I did a good job of summarizing the whole TikTok situation. If you guys know more information about it, feel free to reach out or just contact me through one of these social media platforms that I was just talking about, and just share with me what you think. Am I getting it wrong? Am I maybe confused on something? Am I not reading it properly? So just let me know.